Pocket is now in play.
Some missed opportunities yesterday. Let's talk through the ones that we hit as well. So let's have a work through here. Rapid Vienna and Trabzonspor. Arguably, you could have done an insurance play on this one. It's about a 67th minute goal. Probably a bit too late for insurance. Didn't look at this one. Ajax and Panathinaikos, possibility of both teams to score. Indeed, Pana did get a goal disallowed. It's interesting that they were favourite. Ajax did what they did against Vojvodina. A simple 1-0 would suffice. Very good result because it's an away win. Ajax still got the second leg at home to get through. Rijeka and Elfsborg could have been tempted in to lay that draw late on because of that red card for the Elf. But as I teach members, when you've got a red card, just make sure that the stats are still working for Rijeka, and they weren't really. They had 6 shots on target for a large proportion of the match. Only 3 second half. Just couldn't cross that line. If you were to lay the draw, retrospectively, of course, the best thing to do is to lay it as late as possible. Dinamo Minsk and Lincoln Red Imps, it's always going to be a home win, wasn't it? These Gibraltar sides are pretty poor. No real angles in there. Braga and Servette, surprising to see Braga couldn't break through against Servette. I didn't lay the late draw. As you know, probably second leg is going to ignite because both sides are in. This is a result for Servette. They'll be delighted with that. Braga are an excellent side. They're the 4th best side in Portugal after the big guns. We've got the Basak Sahir goal here, laying the draw second half. Thoroughly deserved as well if you were looking at the in-play stats, which was a necessity yesterday because we've got no form lines to work off. And emphatic. If you look at the Soccer 24 stats, it's all leaning on the right-hand side. So good stuff from Basak, getting us the goal we eventually required. Brøndby and Legia, I suppose Silkeborg and Genk. It's a Desmond, of course. Good performance from Legia Warsaw against the odds on Brøndby. Moving on down. Balkani and Larn. This was interesting. You'd have expected a Balkani goal, but this was one I really wish I'd put forward to you. Why? 0-0 for a concerted period of time, and then Larn starting to just ramp up the shots on target late in the second half. I really wish I put forward a speculative back of Larn there for you. We just saw their in-play stats coming alive at the very, very end of the match after you'd kept the strong favourite at 0-0. Very good performance. A bit like the old Tony Pulis, Nico 1-0 late on. An excellent result for Kilmarnock, although they did lead, and then Tromsø got it back to 1-2. I could have arguably laid Kilmarnock at the off on the basis that SPL sides in Europe tend to falter. So that could have been a play there. St Mirren and Brann. Well, I did say lay the draw second half, and I hope that Brann would score first. Did they score first? Indeed they did. So you could have got out there. But another excellent comeback, akin to Kilmarnock's late one. 90th minute equaliser for St Mirren has them really lined up for the second leg. Although Brann were the dominant force, they're likely to make that dominance count once they get back to Norway. Look at this. One way. Great result for St Mirren. If you did lay the draw second half, I was asleep by then, I'm afraid. Cash out once Brann score, because we were expecting Brann to score because their first half stats were so absolutely dominant. You can see here. So some good plays. Yesterday I was surprised that there were some angles in. Delighted to get them. Now we've got the second legs. We've got even more trading angles to work off. Particularly when you're looking at these 0-0s, and particularly when you're looking at these 1-0s and the 1-1s. Everything to play for with only one goal in it. These are likely to be a bit of a damp squib. Such an emphatic lead. They can afford a 2-0 loss in the second leg. So that's the problem. Look at all of these very, very tight. The second legs are alive in all of these matches. One goal in it all the way down to Ljubljana. And this was another one I'd put forward to you. It's possible to lay the draw second half, but guess what? 45th plus minute equaliser, goal and a penalty to boot as well. What a pity. We could have laid that draw with a degree of confidence second half. On to today, and it's a mixed bag today. Day off for me today as well. So let's have a look through. The Dutch Eredivisie begins today. Excellent stuff. Groningen against NAC Breda. Don't have any strong angles at all. But let's have a look. Two newly promoted sides. So interesting to see the market bias towards the one, because when I see two promoted sides, you'll naturally expect a tighter match. So let's stroll through Soccer 24, see what's upcoming today. No Bundesliga today in Austria, but all the other leagues are out and about. Belgian Julep League, Standard Liège, kept 2 clean sheets so far. Is that a change of tack? I would favour them on that basis, but we'll have a look at that at 7:45. Moving on down. Chinese Super League is always worthy of your attention if you're up and about lunchtime. 3 odds on favourites can get you some action. Croatian HNL1 League beginning as well. Šibenik, Slaven Belupu, much of a muchness those two. But it's nice to see the league up and about. Danish Super League, Midtjylland and Vejle. I would be favouring Midtjylland here. We've just got the form that we've got so far. It's only a couple of matches played. 2 draws and a home win for Midtjylland, 3 out of 3 defeats for Vejle. I did check to see whether Vejle were newly promoted, but they weren't. They were 11th last season. So if you're looking at last season's rankings, 1st to 11th, you're obviously favouring the home side. I would also keep an eye on the Danish First Division if I'm up and about this evening, as I hope you are. And the Championship beginning as well. Fantastic stuff. Blackburn against Derby, Preston against Sheffield United. And as you know, we need to know our newly promoted and newly relegated. Sheffield United, newly relegated but not fancied by the market today. Looks like they've got a tough away encounter. Have they kept all of their stars? And is Sean Bean available for the Blades? That's the big story. Blackburn against Derby, newly promoted Derby again. So just be a little wary. Are they targetable this season, or are they going to swim in the Championship? Derby County. League One, Barnsley and Mansfield. Mansfield newly promoted. Outside of the top 9, only 2 home defeats for Barnsley. So they'll be confident today against Old Jane. We'll see how Jane gets on as a newly promoted side in English League One. Chesterfield and Swindon, newly promoted Chesterfield, are playing 19th from last season. So they are given a chance against the struggler. You can see their odds on favourite. But we've got very little form to work off, haven't we? It's a pure guess, because there's no recent head-to-heads. Only 3 away wins for Swindon last season. It's probably the reason why Chesterfield are odds on. But you see now we're getting these odds on, newly promoted, newly relegated. We must know our newly promoted, newly relegated sides, such as Ekenes against Lahti. Let's have a look at this one. Only 2 wins came at home for Lahti, and odds on favourite. You're expecting me to back them on that. They've conceded in the last 12 as well. It looks awful for odds on favourite. Only 3 wins though for Ekenes. 2 came away. No draw in 11. It's a bottom 2 clash. It's an Arthur Daly match. Just tread very, very wary here. German Bundesliga 2. Great to see that up and about. Kaiserslautern beating newly promoted Ulm, coming from behind in their opener. And Ulm are playing today, newly promoted against Jan Regensburg. So watch out. They're both newly promoted as well. So this gives Ulm a chance to get on the score sheet after scoring first against Kaiserslautern, and Kaiserslautern winning 1-2. So this is going to be a good gauge for us. Greuther Fürth beat Poison Munster in their opener. This is the one we're interested in. Regensburg and Ulm, down to the in-play stats. Two newly promoted sides in the Bundesliga's fight. Dutch Eredivisie, great to see that. Two newly promoted sides, as I say. Portuguese Primeira Liga, great to see Sporting Lisbon back. Top of the league last season. 2-0 win and a 3-3 draw last season. They were brilliant, Sporting Lisbon. Absolutely brilliant. I think they went through the whole vast majority of last season, I think, unbeaten. And they were nearly going to do it, you know. Quite brilliant. It's Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Porto, Braga. Those would be your main sides in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. Galatasaray, well, it was a 1-0 home win and a 2-1 away loss against Hatayspor last season. That's nowhere near the expectation of a 1.20 quote for Gala this evening. So, yes, stick them on your radar. They're very reliable, especially like Taylor Fritz. When they lose a set or drop a goal, they tend to come back in. So those are our matches. It's a mishmash. Sandefjord and Strom Godset. Again, 16th against 11th. I've curtailed the research here. It's not a match which appeals at all. 2 consecutive home wins, yes, for Sandefjord, but they've conceded in the last 17. 7 consecutive over 2.5 goal matches suggests both teams are going to chip in with a goal, but no win in 7 for Stroms. Not the best in the world. Irish First Division, 2.4 the favourite, as Les Dennis would say. Cork against Athlone. You'd be firmly favouring Cork, who are one of those sides who are enjoying it in the lower tier after being relegated, as you can tell. That's why I keep telling you to focus on newly promoted, newly relegated. It's the Newcastle factor. You remember when Newcastle went down into the Championship under Chris Hughton? They just absolutely bossed everything. That's why we're looking at newly promoted, newly relegated. So Cork City thoroughly enjoying it. It's a top 2 clash. This is arguably a derby-style match, but Athlone tend to lose against the top 5 away. Kerry and Co Bramblers, 2.37, as Les Dennis would say. Wexford and Finn Harps, 7th against 5th. 76% of goals conceded at home came in the second half for Wexford. That's something we can go to war with, isn't it? Watch out. If it's a quiet first half, you might want to lay the draw second. Finn Harps failed to score that second goal in the last 10. They're going to be extremely vulnerable on that basis. How on earth are you 5th when you're failing to score that second goal in 10 matches? Blimey. So they could be vulnerable if leading. Where's that second goal? Irish Premier Division, Bohemians are playing Wexford, Waterford. Bohemians have a quite amazing stat. No goal has been scored in the 46th to 75th minute of a Bohemians home match by either team. Quite outstanding. That infers first half goal, doesn't it? No draw in 15 for Waterford. Laney late draw. So expect that first half goal. What I would do with that knowledge, if it's 0-0 after 15 or 20 minutes, you might want to start laying the draw in a half-time score market. Or the half-time market. Or lay the 0-0 in the half-time score market. Derry against Dundalk. Derry second in the Premier Division. Involved in Europe as well, Derry, I believe. Unbeaten in 7. Scoring in the last 9 at home. 2+ goals scored in the last 4 at home. Very solid stuff. But again, a very strong second half scoring pattern for Derry. So watch out for that if Dundalk keep it tight. They have conceded in the last 13 away, Dundalk. Only one away win saw them still concede 2 goals. So they're very, very, very vulnerable. There's some very readable matches today, as you can see, in Ireland. Let's just stroll through any other leagues that are not on my research radar. There's the Irish Coppa Italia. Some familiar names. Sassuolo, Serie A, Udinese, the draw specialists. They don't want to be. Genoa, Serie A. Monza, are they still in Serie A? I'm not too sure. Maybe they were relegated. I haven't done the checks yet, but we don't need the checks. These are just cup matches. But they're well worthy of your attention. Lots of familiar names. Serie B, Südtirol. So Serie A v Serie B. 4 out of 4 odds-ons at home. Well worthy of your attention this evening. And it's well worth your watching because the Italian Serie A is going to be one of our leagues this season. We want to see what kind of a mood these four are in. I would suspect they'll take these matches seriously to get a competitive fixture under the belt before Serie A begins. So that's well worth watching. The Dutch Eredivisie is an absolute goal fest ordinarily. I don't have the details from last season because they can't provide you historical stats for the over 2.5 goal, over 3.5 goal ratio last season for the Dutch Eredivisie. But I'll just bring it up and you can just check some of the matches yesterday or last season. What I tend to do is have a Friday punt with a bookmaker, back all matches over 2.5 goal, all matches both teams to score in an accumulator. It came in a couple of times last season. Lots and lots of profit when it comes in. So have a bit of fun with that. I won't give you a reminder within the research, but both teams to score over 2.5 goals can be very good indeed. Watch out for your newly promoted as well. Vitesse Arnhem, absolute standout. What on earth are they doing in this league? Huge name in Dutch football. They should be top 5 in the Eredivisie. So they would be a side for you to watch out for. Really, they could absolutely dominate. Just as last season, the two relegated sides last season absolutely dominated, went straight back up again. Vitesse could really be a standout side. But it's another one of those sides who have intermittent, awful seasons like Sevilla, Villarreal. What happened to Sociedad? Not Sociedad, the Sampdoria. That kind of thing. They're just falling on the wayside. I don't think we've got the over 2.5 goal ratio from last year in this league. So let's see if I can find it. It will just emphasise to you the effectiveness of this league as far as goals is concerned. 9% of matches finished 2-1, 7% 1-2, 6% 2-2, 6% 3-0, 5% 3-1, 4% 2-3. We don't have the over 2. Here we go. Over 2.5 goals. 60% of matches finished over 2.5 goals last season. Average goals per match 3.05. That's last season. Both teams scored in 60% of matches. Now you see why I like a bit of fun with that. Quite outstanding stats last season for the Dutch Eredivisie. I'm not going to be researching, but if you need to know last season, the simplest route, I think, is if we go, 23, 2024, and just do a compare and contrast. So you can tell who's promoted and who's not. Eindhoven and Den Bosch. Well, Eindhoven were there and Den Bosch. Okay. So that's not newly promoted. Emmen and Dordrecht. Let's have a look. Emmen are there. Dordrecht, I think. No, they're there as well. Helmond and Jong Utrecht. I think Helmond. No. Jong Utrecht should remain in this league. I don't think these young sides go down or up. It'd be interesting if they did, because Ajax would be playing young Ajax, for example. Young Utrecht, bottom of the league last season, so watch out for them. They could be very vulnerable. Maastricht and Cambuur. It's always a treaty when Maastricht are playing. Where's Cambuur? They're there as well. Os and Excelsior. Os there. Excelsior could be newly promoted. I cannot see Excelsior here. So they're either newly promoted or newly relegated. And I don't remember seeing Excelsior in Serie A, in the Dutch Eredivisie last season. So that's an interesting match. Click on this and you can go historically back and check out which league Excelsior have come from. Show more matches. Oh, they're from the Eredivisie, so they're newly relegated. Excelsior. So watch out, they could dominate Vitesse and Telstar, as we know. Telstar are here, Vitesse newly relegated. So we've got Excelsior and Vitesse newly relegated this season. Both of them odds-on favourite. Could they dominate this league? Because the last season, the newly relegated sides finished, I think, first and second. Norwegian Eliteserien we've already looked at. Polish, just the first division. I do like Arka Gdynia. I would recommend that you follow them this season. They're likely to be up there or thereabouts in the title chase, and they have been very effective, particularly when the in-play stats light up. There's the Sporting Lisbon kicking off. Steaua Bucharest doesn't look a very interesting match, that one. Scottish Championship this evening. Illiquid markets is what you're battling on Betfair with that particular league. So Braga and Skövde, I'm not going to be researching, but you can have a quick look where they are in the league. Braga probably up there at the top. 5th and Skövde 14th. So Skövde in the relegation zone. By all means, stick it on the roster. 6 o'clock kickoff. And as I say, if I'm up and about, I'll help you out. But for example, I've woken up at midday my time on my day off because I was up so late for you yesterday. So as you can see, I do need to have some time off to myself. I've given half my day away already, which is a pity. Swiss Challenge League could be one to stick on your roster this evening as well. I think Thun might be newly relegated, but you know how to check that out now, don't you? FCstats.com, 2023-2024 league, just compare and contrast. Galatasaray, well, the head-to-heads, they're already drifting. Head-to-heads nowhere near 1.2, as you know already. Ukraine, I don't think we can follow. And we've got some friendlies as well, but to treat them very, very carefully. Okay. Few familiar names. A lot of Spanish sides out and about because the Spanish La Liga is beginning very soon. Probably the English friendlies are going to be just put on the back burner a little bit. But Newcastle are playing Girona at home. Should be really fancying Newcastle. Brentford against the Wolf. That's going to be fascinating as well. Bees against Wolves. Spain against Germany. You saw an emphatic display from Egypt yesterday. I think the Egypt men. So this could be fascinating. Spanish women against Germany women. 2 o'clock kickoff. So it's very amenable to someone on my time zone. So as you can see, it's an interesting coupon this evening. I think there's a lot of potential there. I normally take the day off on a Friday, but if I am up and about, if I, for some silly reason, I'm up at 2 or 3 a.m. Add 6 hours to that 8, and you'll see what the kickoff is for me. I'm certainly personally going to be around for these early kickoffs. I did like what I saw from Kaiserslautern against Ulm, and I'd be interesting to find out the battle of the newly promoted sides, who's going to come out on top. Lots and lots of real solid potential this evening. It's great to see all of this familiarity back, isn't it? Rather than looking at the likes of Kongsvinger, top of the league, losing 0-4 to 15th in the league with home advantage. What on earth do you do with that? Have a great day. It is my day off. Don't expect anything from me. But as I say, if I am up and about, I do like football trading, as you know, I might pop on to Telegram for members of footballtradingprofits.com. In the meantime, have a great Friday, and I'll see you again for lots and lots of action.